Hello and welcome to the sideboard here at Star City Games, Nashville. My name is Ruben Bressler and I am joined by Robbie Cordell. We saw Robbie on camera earlier today. Some of you may know Robbie. You may have heard the name. Where might folks have heard you from?
I top-aided GP Nashville last year. I also was credited for 2 deck lists for finals deck list for GP Charleston last year from Brian Eason, and also a finals deck list from GP Atlanta from Michael Major. So
you're chiefly known as a deck builder,
right?
Sort of deck designer.
What I like to do is I don't really design the decks. What I do is mash the decks together. You know, I see 5 or 6 deck lists, and I see what I want to do with the deck list, and then I go from there and change for a metagame cause.
And that's absolutely what you've done here.
Right.
You've got a Golgari deck, really.
Right.
We were calling it the Rock on stream. What are you calling it most of the time?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
The Rock, sure.
It plays kind of like the Rock. You just want to kind of control the game, control the board, and then in game, get value out of all your creatures.
Sure.
Like a troll aesthetic kind of,
exactly.
feel.
Let's talk about those creatures, because these are some creatures that don't typically get seen together.
Right.
Thragtusk and Geralt's Messenger in the deck together alongside Desecration Demon and Disciple of Bolas, which is a nice surprise.
Yeah, I actually, in my feature match just now, Chris, after game 1, he said Geralt's Messenger doesn't really fit in the deck, and he hadn't seen Disciple yet. So next turn I played Disciple, he said, makes sense.
Yeah.
Really just trying to get value out of everything. In round 2, I had Garrick active with, and I was just sacking messengers to go get more messengers.
Nice.
He was playing bug aggro and I was playing this, so really we're just trying to get value out of our creatures, and so I just started chaining, trying to get some life loss.
Now, speaking of Garrick Relentless, you have 2 Planeswalkers in the deck, Liliana of the Veil, and you have one of Garrick Relentless. Garrick Relentless seems to be the card of the tournament so far.
It's really good. If I was going to add something to the deck, I would add at least 1 more, maybe 2 more copies of Garrick Relentless.
Now, of the 5 abilities on both Garrick Relentless and Garrick the Veil Cursed, the flip side of Garrick, what's the best for this deck? You can obviously get value out of all 5.
The best is definitely once it flips, sacking creatures to get another creature. I have Thragtusk and Geralt's Messenger that I want to sack to get another, chain creatures is really what I want to do.
Now, we mentioned the 3 Lilianas, and you have the 1 Putrefy.
Right.
You were telling me you can't run more Putrefys because you want to run enough
3 spot,
Lilianas.
Yeah, I wanted something for the control match. Everything else matches up really well for aggro and aggro like mid-range decks. So what I wanted was something, if I was going to play against a blue, white, red or something, I wanted some game main deck against that. So Liliana was a choice.
You also have Mutilate, which is a card that we haven't seen a ton of. I really wanted this card to be like the breakout success of the last Pro Tour, and no one really played it. Conley, I think, played it. Conley Woods played it to a top 16 finish. Hasn't really had its day in the sun in this format yet, but you're playing it. I think you have 14 basic swamps.
And then 4 overgrown tombs.
4 overgrown tombs, so you're able to get it up.
Right, yeah. Quick. What Conley did, he used the Crypt Gas. This is kind of a branch off from Conley's deck. But what I did was, use Thragtusk and things like that, kind of gain more value. He was using the same kind of feel with Geralt's Messenger, Desecration Demon, but adding the green kind of, gave that a little bit.
Right, and being able to land a Desecration Demon and then cast Mutilate.
It's so big when you have a turn 4 Desecration Demon and then back it up with a Mutilate, and you have that creature to swing with on the next turn. It's huge.
Now, something that might surprise people about your deck list is you have a ton of card draw in this deck.
Right.
You have not only do you have the Garrick Search your library for a creature ability, you also have 4 Sign in Blood.
Yeah.
You have 2 of a card that people probably haven't seen in main decks, which is Cremate.
Yeah.
Why are you running Cremate?
With Dragon's Maze, everybody switched to like the white, red, black, and in addition to the green, white, black Reanimator. And Cremate's just a card that, and now that Break Entering Humanimator, I actually played round 1. So there's a lot of graveyard right now, and they just don't see it coming.
Being able to take out a timely Angel of Glory's Rise.
They're trying to play with that Barrel Rights, and you see it, they don't see it. So just having that Cremate there, it's devastating.
And it's also very good against other creatures with them dying, as you were talking about earlier.
Against the Bug Aggro deck, he tried to sack Shangri-Root Geist with, game 3 had Ooze Flux out. And so he tried to use the Shangri-Root Geist, sack into my Desecration Demon, and use the tokens and chain. He had like 6 mana out, so chain token generators with Ooze Flux, and Cremate stopped that. He couldn't do anything. I had 2 Desecration Demons out, and he tried to chain. Once I cremated, he had no game.
Now, moving to your sideboard real quickly, you were talking about how your main deck is really geared towards aggro. Your sideboard is clearly more geared towards control. You have things like Underworld Connections and all of the discard spells such as Duress and Appetite for Brains. The card that I really want to focus on is Vraska the Unseen. Because Vraska has really been unseen in Standard thus far. Perhaps a one or a two of in a couple Jund sideboards, but beyond that, not really anywhere. Talk to me a little bit about Vraska.
Yeah, just, you know, the control matchup. I don't really want Appetite as much for control. I want it more for Reanimator. But Vraska and Duress and Underworld Connections, I just want to, you know, change the style of my deck up a little bit. You know, obviously I'm not going to be mutilating. I'm not going to be tragic slipping against those decks. So I want to just change up and kind of sit back on my Planeswalkers and make them have to deal with them. So.
Excellent. And you're undefeated right now. You're 3-0.
Right.
You had a feature match against Christopher Anderson earlier, and you've played 3 different decks so far.
Right.
So it seems like it's a good choice. I think that this is something very different, and especially when you get to this point in the metagame, the spring, right before the summer, you tend to already be down to like 4 or 5 decks that people already know are the big decks in the format. And it's not. It's very precious when you find a deck that can attack it from a different angle using different cards.
Yeah, and a lot of people just don't even know what's going on.
Right.
You know, they see Desecration Demon, they're like, oh.
Exactly. It's been months since they've seen Geralt's Messenger.
Right.
So, well, this looks like a ton of fun, and I wish you luck going forward, Robbie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.